So we're talking about DAPL, Dakota Access Pipeline, that's being rammed through at the behest of corporations in Wall Street in North Dakota over through some sovereign land of natives, and it's going to pollute the river where they get their drinking water from. And Barack Obama had this to say about. So you've seen what's happened. They're cracking the heads of peaceful protesters. That's just a matter, of course, how it works in America now. You saw what happened with Occupy. People had legitimate grievances, and they were out there protesting, which is their right. And Goldman Sachs gave a couple of $1 million to the New York Police Department. They went out and cracked the heads of everybody. Barack Obama didn't say a goddamn thing. And here's what he has to say about what's happening in North Dakota.
News outlet Now This. President Obama also addressed the issue of the harsh police crackdown against the resistance movement, which has included riot police deploying tear gas, mace, pepper spray, beanbag rounds, and rubber bullets against the Native American water protectors.
I want to make sure that as everybody is exercising their constitutional rights to be heard, that both sides are refraining from situations that might result in people being hurt.
So the pipeline is 90% completed, so it's safe for Obama to show too little, too late concern, which is what he's doing. Bernie Sanders also had a statement, a little stronger than what Barack Obama just said. Like, that's pathetic, what he just said. He did the false equivalency. Both sides need to, you corporate tool. And I don't say that lightly. I'm not just willy-nilly throwing that term out there, that he's a corporate tool. He's literally not doing what he's supposed to, which is stand up for the Constitution, the treaties the United States has signed, and for peaceful protesters. No, what he's doing is he's shutting up, and he's letting peaceful protesters and the land be raped at the behest of his donors. That's what's happening. So here's what Bernie Sanders had to say about it. He actually released a letter. Let's see the difference between Barack Obama, who thinks it's important both sides. He's writing to Barack Obama. He said, I write respectfully to urgently request your intervention in the very troubling situation unfolding. Barack Obama didn't even call it a troubling situation. His adjectives were missing. He says, the first priority must be protecting the safety of the peaceful protesters. That is why I urge you to direct the Department of Justice to send observers to protect the protesters' First Amendment rights to protest the pipeline. Oh, I bet that's happening. Not happening. You know what we're doing? We're sending bombs to Syria. Can't get water to Flint, and we can't get observers to North Dakota. But we can get bombs to Syria, Yemen, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Mosul. You could do that. Oh, we can also get ICE to go into your house at 4 a.m. and throw out some people, some immigrants. We can do that. But we can't get observers to North Dakota to make sure peaceful protesters are being protected, that the Constitution is upheld. That's not really important. I also urge you to request that the North Dakota Governor Jack Dalrymple, I can't say his last name, remove the National Guard from the camp, as the military presence only threatens to inflame an already tense situation even more. Lastly, I urge you to direct the Army Corps of Engineers to stop construction within a mile between Highway 1806 and the Missouri River to help reduce tension. The second priority is suspending all federal permits for this project until the Army Corps of Engineers completes a full cultural and environmental review. To my mind, the Corps should have never approved this project on an expedited basis in the first place. So this is the stuff Barack Obama didn't say. He is not saying any of this shit, which he knows he should say, but he's a small person. He only stands up for his donors. And this is living proof. Where's Michelle's speech about how she was shaken to her core to see government employees cracking the heads of women, strip searching women, macing peaceful protesters? Where was Michelle shaken to her core? Nobody said pussy, I guess. If completed, the pipeline will transport nearly 20 million gallons of crude oil every day, potentially threatening dozens of bodies of water, including Lake Oahe and on the Missouri River. Since the Missouri River provides drinking water for 10 states and 28 tribes, a major spill from the pipeline could threaten the drinking water of millions of people. This is a risk we certainly just can't. So I don't know. See, Jill Stein isn't smart enough to know how to do this. She's not qualified to tell those guys to stop. Huh? What? That's what would happen if you had an actual populist president, a president that represented the people and not the donors. They would stop it. They would do all these things that Bernie's saying. The Dakota Access Pipeline would also be a huge blow to our fight against climate change. According to one report, burning the oil transported through the pipeline would produce carbon emissions equivalent to 21 million cars or 30 coal plants. If we have any hope of avoiding the worst consequences of climate change, we should not be building new oil pipelines that lock us into burning fossil fuels for generations. Rather, we should be building clean energy infrastructure to transform our energy system away from climate change causing fossil fuels and toward renewable sources of energy. Big difference between him. You could see why the Democratic National Committee would conspire to screw that guy out of being president. You would see why we'd rather have that corporate tool, Barack Obama, who's fucking useless, unless he's doing the bidding of corporate donors. And again, this isn't hyperbole. This is what we're living in. This actually happened. I didn't come up with this idea that we've been living in a slow motion corporate coup d'etat. That's Sheldon Wolin, one of our greatest political scientists. That's not me. That's happened. They took away habeas corpus, and now the government can throw you in jail. All I have to do is say you're a terrorist. That happened. Habeas corpus, linchpin of democracy. They got rid of it because stuff like this is going to be happening all the time. Occupy Wall Street was the beginning. It wasn't the end, and it scared the shit out of them. It scared the shit out of them. They're like, hey, half the country's poor, and they're starting to revolt while we crash the economy and stuff our pockets with millions in taxpayers' dollars. What should we do? Let's give money to the police and have them go beat the shit out of them, and then we'll pass new laws that say we can lock people up in military prisons without ever giving them a trial. They're not going to do it to everybody. They're just going to do it to the leader. That's why they're charging Josh Fox's producer with 45 years in prison. They take the leader, try to scare the shit out of everybody else by what they do to them. They're making an example. Why do you think they did that stuff to Chelsea Manning? They did that to her so that you would see her being tortured. And we did. So that's what they're doing. And Barack Obama signed that bill, by the way, that gave the government the power to put you in jail without a trial forever. That they repealed habeas corpus. It's Section 1021 of the NDAA. Why do you think they passed that law? Because they didn't want to use it? Or because they're already using it? So there's a real, that's Bernie Sanders. Nice contrast between him and our corporate-owned, completely useless president, Barack Obama. And people cheer him. There's comedians I know who cheer. Oh, there's people write articles. This James Taylor, this is my favorite president in my lifetime. And that's a shame. That your favorite president in your lifetime is a guy who doesn't have the guts to stand up even for a second and even tell the truth about what's happening in North Dakota. I couldn't be more disgusted.
Well, let's underline, though, you said it's not a hyperbole. Let's underline that. This is not a hyperbole. 10 states, 28 tribes, and let's keep in mind when it comes to pipelines and stuff like this, it's not if there's a spill, if there's an incident, it's when. They have so many violations per year against just EPA standards that it's unbelievable. I mean, there was like 2,800 at one point in Pennsylvania, like in 2011. It's going to happen. It's not an if, it is a when.
Yeah, but those protesters are leaving footprints and occasionally rubbing away the grass. So you got both sides.
Both
damage on
both sides are contributing to climate change. Really,
both sides do
damage
it.
On both sides.
Yeah, and so this is, by the way, this is the big selling point for the Democrats over the Republicans is that we accept the science of climate change. We don't do a fucking thing about it. When people try to stand up and do something about climate change, we crack their heads open. But we accept the science. One party rule in America. That's what's happening right now. One party rule. It's the money party. Keep voting for Hillary Clinton. Go ahead. Brilliant.